Hello, welcome to the channel. My name's Matt and today we're into a wrap up. May is over, June is here, spring has sprung, summer is upon us, and this is what I read in May. So we'll make a start. So the first thing I finished in May was Discworld, The Last Continent by Terry Pratchett. This is a Rincewind story. He's based in Australia. It's not Australia because it's a Discworld, but it's the Discworld version of Australia. You've got Rincewind, as always, trying to run away from trouble. He develops more in this book than he probably ever has in the other books, which is good to see. You've also got a load of bumbling wizards stuck on an island, and you see the book-smart wizards struggling with the reality of the world and not understanding how the world works, which is always entertaining. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of this. I am currently drafting a Discworld series of videos that I would like to do because it is my favourite series currently, and I want to talk about it in more detail rather than spend a couple of minutes in a wrap-up talking about one book. So I want to talk about all the books and I want to talk about the series as a whole. So I'm going to do a proper video, number of videos on the Discworld series. And that'll be coming shortly. As I say, I am drafting some of the scripts as we speak, so we'll see how that goes. I also read another Discworld, this time with Storytime with Sid, which was Mort, which is the first book of the Death series, or Death sub-series, the fourth Discworld novel written. This one, Death hires an apprentice called Mort, and it's Mort learning the trade of death, and is what you find with a lot of death novels, they're more focused on other characters with death streaming through and still being a main character, but maybe not the main character. It's great. It's funny. It's probably, of the first four, for me, probably the most humorous. There's a lot of good jokes in there. As always with Pratchett, there's more insightful thought process about death itself, about religion, about the afterlife, about what else have we got in there? Afterlife, belief, and how belief affects the world and your reality. It's never, with the Discworld novels, it's never just surface level. There's always a greater depth you can take from it, and this is why I want to talk about it more. But so we read more, thoroughly enjoyed it. If you've watched the my June reading plans, I'm planning to continue with the Death sub-series, so Reaper Man will be read in June, so you'll hear about that. So we then read my first classic of the year, which was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Not read this before. This was superb. I wanted to pick up a classic that I thought I would enjoy and be able to get through swiftly, because some classics are tomes and very heavy and very dense. This is only a couple of hundred pages and it's, you know, relatively easy reading. Oscar Wilde is a remarkable wordsmith. His ability to use the English language is wonderful. It can get a little bit overindulgent. There's one chapter specifically I'm thinking of, you know, which is a little bit overindulgent, but it's expressing the overindulgence of Dorian Gray at that point, so it makes sense it's overindulgence, but it gets a little bit heavy, a little bit overabundant in his use of descriptions. But the story, if you don't know it, is a picture drawn of Dorian Gray, and it enables him to fulfill his desires without necessarily bearing the consequences. Let's put it like that. But it is so well written, and his friend Lord Henry Wotton, his dialogue is so witty and so engaging. I mean, as a dinner party guest, man, he would be excellent. He's just on the ball all the time. The dialogue is back and forth. It's superb. It's one of my favourite things, actually, probably about the book, is the dialogue within this book. It moves at a good pace. I think it's the only novel Oscar Wilde wrote. It's certainly his debut novel. It's got to be one of the best debut novels written. It's superb, absolutely superb. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will be looking to pick up some more classics, and there'll probably be a video about what I'm looking to read in the rest of the year. So I want to try and get into more of the classics. I read a few modern classics, but you know, a few of the more modern. Sorry, a few not the more modern classics. A few of the older classics. So, but this was a superb entry point. And if you like a bit of sci-fi, a bit of fantastical thinking, but you know, it also delves into morality and digging at the morality of the time, or the perceived morality of the time. It's brilliant. I would encourage you to read it. It's only a couple hundred pages. It's for a classic. It's not that heavy to read. The language is, you know, relatively straightforward. Yes, Oscar Wilde is likes to elaborate. It's elaborate with his use of language, but there's some beautiful turns of phrases, and the dialogue is fantastic. The dialogue is superb. So I encourage you to read that. Next was one I listened to. It's an audiobook, Glory by NoViolet Bulawayo. This was long-listed for the Women's Prize for Fiction this year, and it was shortlisted, I think, for the Booker Prize in 2022. I've done a full review on it, which I will link somewhere at the top. It was okay. If you want to hear my full review, obviously go to the previous video. It's about the overthrow of Mugabe in Zimbabwe in 2017 and the aftermath of that. Told through a fictional country called Jadada, and the inhabitants of Jadada are actually animals. There's lots of links to animals' farms, but it's nothing like George Orwell's Animal Farm. NoViolet Bulawayo is a very talented writer, and some of the scenes she delivers in this book are touching, moving, and impactful. But overall, it didn't work quite so well for me. But as I say, if you want to learn more about that one, check out the full review on that. Then what was the next one I read? So I think the next one I finished was... oh yeah, another audiobook. Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. I'm a keen amateur runner, I suppose. Myself, I do like to run. And it's a book I've never read. It's been out for a while now, a good few years, but I've never got around to reading it. And again, I've done a full review, and that's quite a lengthy review, which you can go and watch, where I sort of delve into some of the detail and some of the data that he presents and question some of his hypotheses from my perspective. But it's an entertaining read. He can tell a yarn, he can tell a story, and if you enjoy running and you haven't read this, pick it up, read it. Be a little bit wary of some of the conclusions in the data. I was anyway. But as an entertaining read of what running is and the community of running and ultra running specifically, it will, if you have anything like me, it will get you wanting to get out and run. So he has a talent for that. He has a talent for telling a story. So well worth your time. So that was a good one. We've then got, the next one I read was actually going back to Women's Prize for Fiction, was the 2017 winner, The Power by Naomi Alderman. Again, I've done a review for this. Depending on how I schedule these videos to come out, it may be out. If it is, I will link it. It may not be, in which case it won't be linked, but it will be out shortly. So you've got something like that to look forward to. This is about, the premise of this is fantastic. It's if women overnight get the power to basically by touch inflict pain and suffering on men, and even death, and how that changes the world, the society, the political structure, religion in the world, and going forward. And it's told from several points of view, and it's told over, I think it's 10 years roughly is a timeline for the book. So there's a few time jumps. It's good, it's entertaining, it's thought-provoking. In a sense, I wanted more from this book, but what it delivers well. I would encourage you to read it. It's worth a read. I wouldn't say it was the best book. I'd say the premise may be better than the book delivers, maybe, because you want more, or I wanted more from it, but it was still a very good read. And then finally, the final book I finished was my book of the month, which was The Humans by Matt Haig. This is the second book I've read by this author. And again, there will be a review. And if I've published it by yet, depending on how all these videos come out, it will be linked up there. If I haven't published it by yet, it won't be linked up there. It'll be coming out in a few days. This was brilliant. I've read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is better. And it's an alien comes to Earth, replaces another human on Earth, and because that human solved a mathematical problem, that will enable humanity to expand around the universe and cause, in the aliens' view, chaos, because they're not suitable for that knowledge and our society. And it's his view of humanity, this external picture of what humanity is and how that changes as he lives amongst us. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I prefer this much more to Midnight Library, and I explain why in my review. But if you do like Matt Haig and haven't read this, read it, it's brilliant. If you've read Matt Haig's Midnight Library and it was okay but maybe a bit too preachy, this is better from my perspective. It's slightly less preachy, it's funnier, it's still got similar themes, so if that's not your taste, then I understand, but really good read. And then finally I've got one book which I think I haven't quite finished yet, which is June Messiah, which will carry over into June. I was hoping to get this finished by the end of May. I was expecting to, but I haven't quite. I've only got, I don't know, 40, 50 pages left, so I'll be finishing that very early in June. But yeah, it wasn't in the June reading plans because I thought I'd finish it, but I haven't, which may tell you something about how I feel about this book, but you'll find out in June wrap up. And that is it. So that was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books? 7 books. 7 books I finished in May. So it's a pretty good reading month. That's what I read in May. If you're interested in these books, as I say, some of them have got their own reviews, which will be linked down below and were linked in the video itself. The ones that haven't, I will be doing a Discord series at some point once I've got my head around it, because it's enormous. I've got to figure out where to start, which is the ever-present question for Discord. And we'll have more videos coming out. If those reviews aren't out, they'll be the next ones. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.